Right now at 11, the world preparing to say goodbye to Pope Francis. This is a live look at St. Peter's Square in Vatican City, where it is 8 o'clock in the morning. The faithful already filling the plaza to pay their respects to the pontiff. Hundreds of thousands of people expected to mourn the passing of the people's Pope. World leaders, including President Trump, are now in Rome to attend that service.
NBC's Alice Barr is live at the Vatican, where people are already starting to arrive. Alice?
Good morning, Garvin and Jessica. Yeah, we're just 2 hours away now from the start of this funeral. We can see from where we are that there are some guests already up on risers around St. Peter's Basilica, where this solemn ceremony is going to take place. We've been here really all night throughout the quiet hours after the Basilica closed to people who had wanted to file through and see the Pope and pray by him. And now we're back to the hours when people are starting to fill in as the faithful are hoping for a glimpse of this final goodbye. After 3 days of public viewing,
he wanted us to love one another, and he represented that by showing love.
And private mourning for Pope Francis, including a French nun who broke protocol by approaching her friend, the Pope, in his open casket to say goodbye, like some 250,000 others.
Yeah, I prayed for him and his soul.
Tonight, the veil drops, his coffin sealed in an ancient rite before his funeral on Saturday, when Rome officials expect roughly 500,000 people to pack in and around St. Peter's Square. Among them, Renato Yontop Calosi, who had his moment today in the Pope's presence.
Mourning, loss, grief, but also proud because of the work he did.
We first met Renato as a student at Georgetown University. Now studying in Geneva, he made the trip to pray for the Pope and to thank him for engaging in the here and now.
Bringing the people and the church together to help the religion, it overlaps with the environment, with the care for our common home. It overlaps with people.
That as 50 heads of state, including President Trump, fly in for the funeral. Security ramping up for their arrival and for the Pope's procession through Rome. From the funeral to his burial at Santa Maria Maggiore. Outside Vatican walls, a first for a Pope in 120 years.
He wanted to be different, and it's a good message of Jesus Christ, like to be humble, and I really love that.
The Vatican releasing this image of the tomb inscribed simply with the word Franciscus, as the faithful mourn and celebrate the people's Pope. And the funeral itself is only going to be about 90 minutes long, and then we'll see that really remarkable procession through the streets of Rome to his final burying place. Again, that unusual choice to be buried outside the walls of the Vatican, unusual in terms of popes, but very characteristic of Pope Francis. And in another characteristic move, he's due to have a final send-off from a group of Rome's poor and in need at the steps of that burial site. Those are groups that, of course, he sought to lift up throughout his life. Back to you, Garvin and Jessica.
Thank you so much, Alice. Here in the Bay Area, Catholics who can't be in Rome are remembering and honoring Pope Francis before he's laid to rest. Here's NBC Bay Area's Jocelyn Moran.
Tonight inside Mission San Jose in Fremont.
Let me ask you, what are you impressed the most about our Holy Father?
A vigil mass for Pope Francis, where many spoke on what they'll remember most about him.
He demonstrates how we're supposed to be with each other, how we look at each other as brothers and sisters.
Francis is expected to be buried at the ancient Basilica of St. Mary Major, which lies outside of the Vatican. Over the last 3 days, the Vatican says 250,000 people have paid their respects to Pope Francis. The Vatican is estimating a crowd of 500,000 people for Saturday's funeral, including 50 world leaders. President Trump just arrived, and former President Biden will also be there. Following the mass, a procession with Pope Francis's body will go through Rome. It will be at a walking pace so people lining the city streets can say final farewell. But for those who can't make it to Rome, they're honoring Pope Francis from here at home, a pope whose messages will live on.
We should be all forgiving and be compassionate to each other.
I think the most special part was that he was able to give his final blessing, on Easter Sunday.
In Fremont, Jocelyn Moran, NBC Bay Area News.
You can watch the Pope's funeral in its entirety right here on NBC Bay Area. Coverage begins at 1 a.m. tomorrow. That's just 2 hours from now.
An abrupt about-face for the Trump administration has some international students breathing a sigh of relief tonight. Weeks ago, the State Department began revoking student visas for more than 1,000 international students, including at least 39 students here in the Bay Area. But in a surprise move this morning, the State Department reinstated the legal status of some of those students, including 12 international students at Berkeley. Lawyers for the Justice Department say the move is being made temporarily to allow customs enforcement to craft a more detailed and structured policy for student visas.
Now, in the face of having to testify and explain their actions, they themselves reinstated all those students and basically stated that they're now going to come out with a framework and kind of justify their decisions.
Students we spoke to at Cal today tell us that many international students remain deeply concerned about the status of their visas. They worry about what the administration will do next and whether they'll be asked to leave the country anytime soon.
Our investigative unit has learned sheriffs across the Bay Area are at odds over when to cooperate with federal immigration agents.
Some are even accusing neighboring counties of putting people's safety at risk. Senior investigative reporter Begad Shaban explains why.
Yeah, all across the Bay, communities boast policies designed to protect undocumented immigrants from deportation. But with no real standard for what that actually means, even so-called sanctuary communities disagree on when local law enforcement agencies should help the feds and when they shouldn't. For more than 30 years, San Francisco has declared itself a sanctuary city. As Sheriff Paul Miyamoto is in charge of enforcing that policy.
I don't take that responsibility lightly.
He says his top priority of defending the county now includes having to shield it from the White House. President Trump has vowed to end sanctuary cities, saying they protect criminals, not victims, even calling them death traps. His administration is currently suing the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago, alleging their policies interfere with federal immigration law, since they restrict information sharing with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, better known as ICE.
Are you worried the Trump administration could go after your department next?
I think it would be unfortunate if they targeted us as they have with other jurisdictions and states, but we're going to continue to do our job regardless.
In California, state law actually limits just how much help local law enforcement can offer federal immigration officials. But we've discovered in certain cases, counties still have the power to decide when to cooperate. And that compliance can vary widely. One of the most common ways ICE tries to lean on local law enforcement is through what's known as a civil detainer request. That's when ICE asks for advance notice from jails and prisons about the release date of an inmate. The feds already have access to who's behind bars and their immigration status. But they need help from local law enforcement to know when those individuals will be set free, so ICE agents can be there to detain them. Across the Bay Area, ICE made more than 2,300 of these civil detainer requests last year. But we've learned local law enforcement rarely complied, giving ICE answers in just 9% of cases. That includes San Francisco, where Miyamoto has been sheriff for more than 5 years.
During my entire time as sheriff, we've had close to 3,000 requests, about 2,900 total. Out of all of those requests, I've notified ICE once in that time.
That's because San Francisco will generally only cooperate if the person ICE wants has a history of serious or violent felony convictions.
And even when you did comply and notify ICE they were about to be released, they never showed up.
No, they didn't. I believe that they were so surprised that San Francisco actually notified them that they weren't prepared to send somebody over to pick the person up from custody.
We reviewed policies for each of the 9 counties in the Bay Area and found San Francisco is one of 6 that will comply with ICE detainer requests if the inmate has been convicted of a serious crime. Our analysis found 3 other counties, Alameda, San Mateo, and Santa Clara, do not respond to ICE detainer requests under any conditions, regardless of the inmate's criminal history.
Does that make sense to you?
To me personally, as the sheriff here in San Francisco, no, it does not. Ultimately, criminals affect all of our communities, including our immigrant community.
Refusing cooperation with ICE in those instances, you think could create a public safety issue?
Yes, absolutely. We can't just say unequivocally no cooperation at all.
But in these 3 neighboring counties, that is what sheriffs are doing.
It's the right side for this county.
Bob Johnson, Santa Clara County Sheriff, is the only one in the trio who agreed to an interview. He says those protocols are in place so that people feel safe reporting crimes, regardless of their immigration status.
And that trust is extremely important in working with our community. I think the federal administration, they have a role. And I'm not going to impede them. I'm not going to stop them from doing their job.
But it sounds like you're also not going to help them.
We're not going to just raise our hand, open our doors. There's processes to be followed.
ICE has the ability to obtain criminal arrest warrants if the person they're looking for is wanted for a new crime, which would legally force local law enforcement agencies to keep them detained, even if they're about to be released. But if the person's only offense is being undocumented, that's generally a civil violation, not criminal. So in those cases, Sheriff Johnson says ICE is on its own, even if that person may have been found guilty of heinous crimes previously.
If someone has been convicted of murder or rape, why not do whatever you can to help ICE deport that person?
To me, it's simple, really, and we've told this to ICE before. If they really want somebody, they can actually give an arrest warrant for that person. And then we're going to have to comply.
Does part of you as the sheriff worry that having this kind of policy could be putting people in your community
I worry
at risk?
about that every night.
So far this year, he says his department has received more than 60 ICE detainer requests, but hasn't complied with any of them. So how many of those involved inmates with a history of serious or violent felonies? His department isn't exactly sure, because it only just started tracking that information.
There's probably going to be maybe just a handful.
But even if it's just one person, isn't that enough to take steps to have that person removed?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. If an incident or individual came to my attention that was in custody for such a heinous crime that nobody in this community would want released, that's a conversation we're going to have. But up until this point, that hasn't been the case.
But it sounds like this year you've already had examples of that happening.
That's where the clarity needs to come in. We need to take a closer look at where those exceptions are and specifically make sure that criteria is met.
Some might wonder, why haven't you been looking into this already?
Again, I don't think any of the sheriffs were really looking into it all that much until the recent administration.
So it sounds like you very well could decide to change the policy.
I don't know. I mean, yes, I could. I mean, the reality is I could today. I could say, no, I'm going to start complying. And at some point, if I have to make that tough decision that may not be in the best interest of some community members, but is in the greater interest for all community members, then I'll make that decision.
We also learned another way ICE is using local law enforcement. A federal law dating back roughly 30 years allows ICE to deputize state and local officers to enforce federal immigration laws. Agencies first have to apply to the feds and get training. It's called the 287G program. And while we discovered California doesn't have a single agency involved, 38 other states do. Some are even considering legislation to force all of their local law enforcement agencies to get deputized by ICE. Bigat Shaban, NBC Bay Area News. We investigate.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Jeff Fornieri. Coming up, we're tracking the chance of rain as we head into this weekend. I'll have that updated timeline.
And scanners silenced in the East Bay, while Oakland police are working to block the public from hearing their scanners. And the state leaders who say it is a bad idea.
A tennis coach loses his equipment after a Waymo drives off with it inside. The action he's now taking and how the company is responding.
New at 11, you may soon no longer be able to listen in on live scanner traffic by the Oakland Police Department. It's the latest Bay Area police agency to encrypt and block its radio communications. They say it's to protect people's privacy, but some state leaders say access is important for accountability. Here's NBC's Pete Serratos.
29 victims going to be in stable condition. Copy, victim stable.
It's just transparency. There's transparency to the public because there are people who monitor. these communications.
State Senator Josh Becker of Menlo Park isn't pleased with a decision by Oakland PD to shut the public off from its radio channels. He recently tried to pass legislation to prevent police departments from taking these actions after a number of agencies began encrypting radio traffic following a State Department of Justice memo in 2020, directing agencies to protect personal information that could be shared over the airwaves. But Becker says the memo included more than just the encrypting option.
Well, the CHP, the California Highway Patrol, because of the breadth of California standard, they don't encrypt their communication, but they have other ways to protect people's personally identifiable information.
A City of Oakland spokesperson confirmed that its IT department is working with Oakland PD to encrypt its existing radios, pointing out the city will not incur additional costs since the radios already have encryption software. But one privacy advocate says while he believes in secure communications for individuals, the same rules shouldn't apply to local government.
When it comes to the government, transparency is paramount. That's why we have, open public record requests and open meetings.
We reached out to Oakland PD for more details on why they're deciding to encrypt its radios, but have not heard back. In the East Bay, Pete Serratos, NBC Bay Area News.
After a spree of robberies, including 2 smash and grabs at the same store in less than a day, Oakland convenience shop owners and workers say they have had enough. We showed you the surveillance video yesterday. It shows an SUV smashing through the front of a 7-Eleven on Grand Avenue. Thieves stole a safe. This morning, less than 24 hours later, 5 men came back, smashed through the glass door, and robbed the same clerk. That clerk has decided to quit his job, and he's moving to San Francisco, says he'll find work there.
You feel like it's just too risky to work in Oakland anymore?
Yeah, because it happened with me 2 times a day.
President of the Oakland Police Union tells us he's hopeful that Mayor-elect Barbara Lee will work with his team to increase police staffing.
Tonight, a San Francisco tennis coach says his Waymo driverless taxi drove off with his expensive equipment inside. Now, more than 2 months later, he still has no idea where his gear is. In a story you'll only see on NBC Bay Area, he explains to Alyssa Gord what he's now having to do to get it back.
Semi-western grip on a forehand.
Dan Lindley lives in San Francisco. He spends his days going between his work as a high school tennis coach and coaching tennis lessons.
I've been doing it 30 years. It's how I make my living.
Like many San Franciscans, he does not have a car. Lately, he's been riding Waymo's driverless taxis. One evening in February, he says his Waymo dropped him off, but the trunk, filled with his expensive tennis equipment, didn't open.
So I called customer service to see if someone could open the car remotely for me. A guy picked up the phone. He was very, very nice. And in the middle of him trying to open up the trunk, the car drove away.
Lindley says he's not only out the pricey gear, but he's losing money because he can't teach lessons without it.
There was a large duffel bag full of tennis balls. There was a portable hopper or a portable teaching cart.
Since then, he's been asking Waymo to get his stuff back or reimburse him, but he says neither has happened for 2 months. This week, he filed a small claims suit against Waymo, seeking $12,500 in damages. In a statement, Waymo told us, quote, Waymo is in touch with the individual and working to resolve the claim. Waymo's support team operates with the goal of reuniting riders and their forgotten items.
They're not forgotten. They were lost not of my accord. They were not lost by me. They were taken by the car.
Lindley is frustrated and perplexed about where his possessions might have gone.
I don't know what there is to investigate. Are you dusting for prints? Are you calling in the FBI? What is there to investigate? Find the stuff.
In San Francisco, Alyssa Gord, NBC, Bay Area News.
Chief Meteorologist Jeff Ranieri joins us right now, and he's going to give us an update that includes a little bit of rain in the forecast, a lot. What are we looking at?
It's going to be hanging around here, at least a chance of a little bit of rainfall as we head into your weekend forecast. After some showers today, right now on the current Doppler scan, we have some spotty rain up into the North Bay and another batch in the Central Valley that could bring us some spotty rain overnight, and all of this wild and wacky weather for the end of April. That really has it feeling more like December outside is coming from this area. Low pressure that's going to move to the south for tomorrow. So I'll get you updated looks here at the rain and those chilly temperatures right now in that microclimate forecast. And tomorrow morning, it's primarily cloud cover. We could get some drizzle mixing in with some of this fog as well. And really the bulk of the rain tomorrow morning is going to be offshore here in the Pacific and also over the Sierra. But as we head through the day, as that system continues to move off towards the south, we'll likely see the chance here of a few showers bubbling up through the afternoon. Slight risk we we may get some thunderstorms, and this is the new thinking. We likely could have some areas of scattered rain continuing into tomorrow night. But overall rainfall totals not expected to be high. We're looking at trace amounts to about 0.05 of an inch for most of the Bay Area, although some places like Santa Rosa could get up to about 0.16 of an inch. So a little something coming our way for tomorrow. Otherwise, as we started off, we'll need that jacket yet again. We're in the upper 40s and low 50s with plenty of cloud cover. Tomorrow, 50 here in the East Bay, San Francisco 51, and the North Bay at 47. And wow, daytime highs tomorrow. It's just going to be hard to warm up with the way the weather pattern's setting in. This is it. Upper 50s and low 60s across the Bay Area. 62 in Palo Alto, 61 San Jose, 63 in Concord, 59 in Santa Rosa, and I got you to 57 here in San Francisco with those spotty shower chances. If you're not here, but you're heading up to the Sierra, also watch out for some snowfall here tomorrow into Sunday morning. We could see totals up to a foot at Kirkwood, 9 South Tahoe, 8 inches there at Kingvale. Let's get some sunnier weather in here. We're going to have to wait for it, but once we hit Monday's forecast through next week, sunshine is back, drier weather, temperatures will eventually warm up. You'll also see on Sunday there's a chance of a little bit of morning drizzle, but it should be dry Sunday afternoon. We'll go from 68 on Sunday up to 82 on Tuesday. Next week, I am all about that weather next week.
I must say, I've lived in places where the weather is like this a lot, and there's a reason I don't live in those places anymore. So looking forward to returning to California next week.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Thanks, Jeff. Still to come, Major League Cricket leaves the Bay Area. The reason behind the move. Major League Cricket is relocating its U.S. headquarters out of San Francisco to Grand Prairie, Texas. The move comes as the league prepares for its third season, which is set to begin June 12th in Oakland. After that, Major League Cricket will move to Grand Prairie for 12 regular season matches, the playoffs, and the championship final on July 13th. The timing of the move aligns with the rising profile of cricket in the U.S., particularly with the sport's return to the Olympics in 2028.
Well, the World Cup and the Olympics, both huge, both happening in California, and a Bay Area lawmaker has been tapped to make sure they go off without a hitch. State Senator Dave Cortese is one of 11 senators who will make up a special committee on international sporting events. The job is to ensure the state is prepared to host both the 2026 World Cup and 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles, from public safety to transportation to infrastructure. Millions of people are expected to travel to the state for both of those events. It will be huge.
Huge and exciting. Can't wait. Coming up in sports, 49ers welcomes new players, their picks from the NFL draft. Jess, there's somebody we have to say welcome to California to. The 49ers' newest player is here in the Bay Area tonight.
Yes, the team picked Michael Williams yesterday, the first round of the NFL draft. The Niners tweeted this video of Williams arriving in Santa Clara today, red carpet and all. He's a defensive end from the University of Georgia. Now, day 2 of the draft saw the 49ers pick 3 more players. They are defensive tackle Alfred Collins of Texas, linebacker Nick Martin of Oklahoma State, and cornerback Upton Stout of Western Kentucky. The Niners will get to choose 5 more players tomorrow.
Switching to baseball, Giants at China Basin tonight, taking on former Giants manager Bruce Bochy and the Texas Rangers. Let's go to the top of the third. The Rangers' Wyatt Langford hits one down the line in left field. The Giants' Luis Matos, well, he has trouble corralling the ball. A runner comes around to score 1-0 Rangers. Rangers added another run later in the game. They win 2-0. We are back in 2 minutes.
We want to take you back to Vatican City right now to show you St. Peter's Square, where hundreds of thousands of mourners are there. In about an hour and a half at 10 a.m. Rome time is when Pope Francis's funeral will begin. It is expected to take about an hour or so. More than 170 dignitaries from around the world are there as well, including President Trump and his wife Melania. Once the funeral has finished, there will be a procession that'll go through the city that'll take the pontiff to his final resting place, Santa Maria Maggiore, and then after that, people will be able to visit the pontiff there. You can watch the Pope's funeral in its entirety right here on NBC Bay Area. Our coverage begins about an hour and a half from now.
Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful night and have a wonderful weekend.
Bye-bye.